Well, howdy folks, it is Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician, making another video for you out of Boise, Idaho. If you've been watching me, you'll know that I've been working pretty hard trying to get some of these jobs from the summer and fall that I started out from underneath me, and I am happy to say that the majority of the people that I'm working for have been very understanding and have been very wonderful to me and have been able to come back to the table and rework some finances for me, so that way I can get their jobs done and they can have good, reliable vehicles. So I'm pretty excited about that and getting moved forward on that. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and move forward on this Suzuki Grand Vitara. Just to give you an up-to-date, it came to me from another shop. They had quoted a cylinder head gasket job, said that's why it was overheating. There's a lot of signs that I did not see when it was brought to me. First of all, it was brought to me from the other side of town, and during that drive it never overheated. I also didn't notice any smoke or anything coming out of the tailpipe or anything like that, so I went ahead and diagnosed a water pump. Now on the Suzuki Grand Vitara and also the Geo, the Chevy Geo, it's got the 2.7-liter engine in it, and the water pump is really a goofy setup. It's I'm sorry, I said 2.7, I meant 2.5-liter engine. 2.5-liter engine. So the water pump is a goofy setup because even though it's belt driven outside of the timing, it's bolted behind the timing cover to the block. So in order to change the water pump, you've got to take the timing cover off. So since we're taking the timing cover off and I'm going to be in there already, we're going to go ahead and replace the timing chains, gears, tensioners, water pump. I went ahead and bought a whole kit to do that with. So today I'm going to go ahead and start working on getting this intake off. Now this is a real goofy intake, and they're really not fun to get off, so we'll probably just start working slowly here. And some of the first things I'm gonna do are do things like get my throttle cable out of the way, get all my electrical connections taken apart, get my vacuum lines and rubber taken apart. And how I normally do that, I like to pick one direction, or one side, like the driver's side, and then I'll just work my way from right to left. And then once I do that, I'll work my way again from left to right. So like, let's say I'll start here at the brake booster, and I'll take that hose off, and then I'll go here and I'll take the bracket for the throttle cable off, and then I'll go up here and I'll take these electrical connections off, and then I'll move here and get any more electrical connections off, and I'll get more brackets for my throttle cable off, and then I'll just slowly start moving over to this direction, taking all this off. And then when I get here where I have nothing else to take off, I'll move up here, and then I'll move back here. It's just kind of like a typewriter, just going back and forth like that. And so that's really pretty much how I work on engines and whatnot. So first thing I am going to do is get my brake booster hose off, get my throttle cable off. Now I'll show you how to disconnect the throttle cable and all that. I'm not shooting this live today. Obviously I've got the 4 babies inside the house, so I'm gonna have to pause it here and there, obviously, to go take care of them and whatnot. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause it, and I'm gonna get set up to take my throttle cable out and a few other things. Alright, let's go ahead and get to work now. Some of this stuff, you don't have to disconnect both ends. Just disconnect one side, maybe put it away, tuck it away somewhere so it's out of the way for you. You'll be in good shape there. I want to make sure you guys can see everything. All right. So if you've been keeping up with me, you'll know that I broke my nose, and it's still broken right now. It's healing. And I'll tell you, man, anytime I bend over too far, that sucker lights up. It's kind of funny. My mentor was telling me, he was taking a cylinder head off of an engine once, and the pry bar flew back. He was using a pry bar, and the pry bar flew back, and he broke his nose. So he's telling me it's going to be hard to work on certain things. Okay, now when it comes to electrical connections, just take your time and pull them apart. Electrical connections are plastic and brittle, and sometimes they like to break, so I just take my time with them. Looks like we got a little... Now, if you're working on this stuff, it might be a good idea, if you're not somebody that does it all day, every day, it might be a good idea to go get you some colored electrical tape. And what I used to do way back in the day when I first started was I would color code all of these with electrical tape to their connectors and where everything goes. But nowadays I just make a mental note of where everything goes back, and I'm good there to do that. Alright, and see, to get this intake off, you want to make sure that you get everything, anything and everything that's going to hinder you, any lines, any electrical lines or anything like that. Any brackets. Another thing that I do is I take bolts and I just put them back, so long as they're not going to be in the way, I just put them back where they're supposed to go, right there. Actually, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself on this deal. No, I'm not. You gotta love it whenever you're not fully certain. Okay, we'll leave that there. Come on. Looks like I need a different tool. Alright, so now I'm going to show you real quick the best way to get this throttle cable disconnected. Let's go ahead and grab a little mechanic's pick or something there. See if I can get you set up here to be able to view this. Alright, well, the way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to pull my throttle cable all the way. You see how it's loose now? And then I'm going to take my pick and I'm going to get in here and I'm going to get it out. Okay? I may be able to do it one-handed here. Yep, I can. So you can see how that comes out. Just work it out. There you go. Bam. So now the throttle cable is loose. We'll get that other 10mm bracket bolt out of there, and we'll get our throttle cable out of the way. Okay, so these are actually brake line tools, but it's the perfect angle to get in this little area, and it works great. Throttle cable's out of the way, so we'll just put that out of the way somewhere, like so. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to take these two bolts and stick them right back here. Now the throttle body's got to come out so you can lift this intake off. Oh, come on, you little 10mm bolt. Get back in there. There we go. Okay, so yeah, the throttle body does need to come off. As you can see, it's going to be in the way of the intake. So we're going to continue moving this way, get some of these vacuum lines and other things off. Alright, so that one, sometimes if you take your pliers and just try not to cut into the sides, but you just loosen it up a little bit when it comes to vacuum lines, you can get them off. Almost lost the camera there. This one looks like it's got a little bit of a crack in it. This one looks brittle. Yep. I'll go ahead. I mean, that's just a little short vacuum line, so I'll go ahead and definitely change that out. Make a note and change that one out, so we don't need to get you off of there. Okay, so now check all your electrical connections. Check, check, check. We're good there. We have our, okay. All right, we need to get our other throttle off of here, our other throttle cable off of here as well. And we're gonna use the same technique where we just bring it forward and then pull this up, and there we go. And then bam. All right. Now that we got that cable done, and you know, you don't need to, like on this throttle cable here, you don't need to, don't take it off here. Don't mess that adjustment up. Just undo the bracket. And then the same for this one. Just leave that there like it is, and then just disconnect it. You'll be in good shape. Alright, I say we go ahead and we get this throttle body off next. It looks like we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 bolts, 2 up top, 2 that are going to be hidden underneath here. And then you're also going to have a coolant line underneath there that's going to need to come apart. So let's go ahead and get set up and work on that. Okay, so with the throttle body, just take your time. It's not easy to get underneath here. And also, just for some information, you can follow these steps if all you're doing is removing the intake, or if you're going to remove the valve covers to replace valve cover gaskets. You can follow these steps. My dog wants to wander off, I think. Ruby. There is enough room to stick your finger underneath here and catch this bottom bolt. Oh man, I hear my kids inside screaming. It's Sunday, so Sunday there's no babysitters on Sunday. Don't you drop down in there. Gotcha. So for anybody that's been watching me try to grow this YouTube channel and feed my family and all that other good stuff, this job is one of the first jobs that's being done under my new business model, and it's definitely paying off, that's for sure. I've really learned that cheap, quality, and fast are three things that don't go together, and I've also learned that mechanic work, so to say, is only as good and durable as its budget. If you don't have a good budget to do this stuff with, you might as well not do it. Alright, now we're loose. Okay, we need to figure out. See, yep, okay. My fuel rail is in the way here. Bottom line. Yep. And that's what I mean by this whole thing is just a goofy setup, man. Okay, I'm gonna work on getting my fuel rail out of the way next. Gotta reach down in here and get the stuff disconnected. I'm gonna need both hands, folks. I will be right back. Alright, so to get down in to these electrical connections so I can get this fuel rail out, I'm using a long pair of needle nose pliers to grip the plastic connectors and pull them out. Kind of like pulling teeth. Come on. There we go. 1, 2, and then last but not least, 3. Now you can remove, once you've got this unplugged, you can go ahead and remove your fuel line, your fuel rail connector. There she is. So yeah, once you've got this unplugged, right here, one of your plug connectors, you can go ahead and just keep a mental note that that's for your fuel injectors. And I almost just slipped on the ice out here and busted my head, which would not be a good thing. I've already done that once. Okay, now then. So you got you disconnected there. So let's go ahead. Make sure, double check you got all of your fuel lines disconnected. You've got your fuel injectors disconnected. Fuel line here is disconnected. We did that in a previous video. And so now we're going to go ahead and get our fuel rail removed out of there. Try to get you set up in a spot where maybe you can get a better picture of this. I believe by looking at them, what are we going to have? 12 millimeter. Yep, fuel rail bolts are going to be 12 millimeter. And there's going to be a spacer down here. Okay, there's going to be a plastic spacer, so you don't want to lose that spacer, or you'll be making a trip to a junkyard to get another one. This is where ratcheting wrenches come in handy, getting into weird little spots. Alrighty. Now, always double check all your connections. Like for example, I've got a 10 millimeter bracket bolt here that if I were to try to lift this off, I might end up breaking or bending one of these. So, let's take a peek at that. Now we got our fuel rail removed. Grab your spacers that I was telling you about so you don't lose those. Go ahead and grab any fuel injectors that might have got left behind. And anytime you remove fuel injectors, you're going to want to get new O-rings. Never install a fuel injector with its original O-ring. Always change O-rings out on fuel injectors. Alright, so go ahead and set that aside. I'm going to set this aside where it can dry out from the gasoline. Also, when it comes to fuel rails, I like to take a little bit of a plastic wrap and keep them wrapped up so I don't get a bunch of dust and junk in there. Now we've got better access to this bottom coolant hose on our throttle body here. Honestly, we can just got a vacuum hose here I need to get. Wonder if maybe if I have an angle I can get in there better. Yep. There we go. Oh, come on, quit being difficult. There we go. Like pulling teeth. There we go. There, that wasn't so bad. All right. Okay, so these that I'm using are hose pliers. You see how they have a little, and they can really come in handy when it comes to getting brittle, dry, rotten hoses off. Wonderful. Alright, now let's see if we can get you out of there. Yay! There we go, folks. Throttle body is now out of there. And we'll set that safely in the vehicle. And we'll continue working forward. Alright, so I'm just over here removing some of these brackets and stuff off of here so I can get in here easier because in order to get the intake off, you're going to have to take these bolts off in the back right here. They're not going to be fun and or easy to to get out. As you can see, pretty much everything else on this vehicle is. All right. Let's see, I gotta... All right, folks. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end this video here. So we've got the throttle body off. We've got the fuel rails out. Our electrical connections are off and out of the way. So next we're going to work on getting this intake removed so we can start working on getting our valve covers and stuff off. And we'll just keep moving forward. So, all right, everybody. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I really appreciate everybody supporting me, watching me, hanging out. Please feel free to comment, ask any questions. I've been known to trade email addresses. I've been known to trade phone numbers, walk people through procedures, and all that other good stuff. Well, thanks to all my supporters, all my watchers. This is Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician, signing off.